Welcome to Gameonysus Weekly, your one-stop shop for video game news, keeping up with the biggest stories so you don't have to. I'm your host, Edwin Garcia, and today we're talking about Valve's new handheld, the Steam Deck, Netflix's gaming moves, and Kojima's director's cut beef. All these stories and so much more on today's episode. Let's start off with everything we know about the Steam Deck. The quick pitch is the Steam Deck is Valve's new portable gaming handheld, where you can basically play Steam games on the go. Reservations were made available on Friday, with needing to put $5 down to make the reservation. That $5 does go toward your actual purchase cost, and then you'll be charged when the stuff actually is shipping out, which shipments are set to begin in December 2021, with the expected order availability to be Q2 of 2022. There are 3 different SKUs offered, starting at $400 and all the way up to $650. The $400 model has 64 gigabytes eMMC and comes with a carrying case. The $530 model is 256 gigabytes NVMe SSD, has faster storage, comes with a carrying case as well, and has an exclusive Steam Community Profile bundle. And finally, the most expensive SKU is the $650 model, 512 gigabytes NVMe SSD, so fastest storage, premium anti-glare etched glass, exclusive carrying case, exclusive Steam Community Profile bundle, and exclusive virtual keyboard theme. And there's a footnote under all this that says, effective storage capacity subject to change based on size of operating system and formatting technology. All models include a micro SD slot for additional storage capacity. So you can expand the storage on any of the devices, but those are the SKUs available to you. And here's that marketing pitch breakdown. Portability meets power. We partnered with AMD to create Steam Deck's custom APU optimized for handheld gaming. It is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in a very efficient power envelope. Your Steam library anywhere. Once you've logged into Steam Deck, your entire Steam library shows up. Just like any other PC, you'll be able to find your collections and favorites exactly where you left them. Comfort with control. The Steam Deck was built for extended play sessions, whether you're using thumbsticks or trackpads, with full-size controls positioned perfectly within your reach. The rear of the device is sculpted to comfortably fit a wide range of hand sizes. And there's a dock too. The official dock props up your Steam Deck while connecting to external displays, wired networking, USB peripherals, and power. You can also use a powered USB-C hub if you've got one lying around. The official dock will be sold separately, with more information coming soon. I feel like the dock really makes it like, okay, this is a PC Switch. This is the PC Switch. There's even a clip on their official website that says, use your deck as a PC because it is one, where someone has the Steam Deck docked to just a monitor and they're just straight up playing it as if it's a PC because, again, it is one. The power of this is pretty impressive. Other hardware things to point out, it has analog triggers that provide a full range of input for the best experience, especially in driving games. It has a 7-inch touchscreen. It has a trackpad. It has gyro controls. As a huge fan of handheld gaming, this thing's impressive and it's pretty cool. My only reservation with buying it is just frankly a personal one. I haven't played anything on Steam in a really long time. I have so many other games to get to. The price point is high. I think it does warrant that price point and those price breakdowns. I like the different options for different models right out the gate, even if it is just memory based. But yeah, I could not bring myself to pull the trigger on this one at this exact moment. But even today, I'm thinking about it. Like, at the time of recording this, the reservations went live yesterday. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. It's a little too much money for me right now. And now just like looking further into it for this coverage, I'm like, I kind of really want this. So we'll see, what goes down and how easy it is to get stuff after the fact. That's kind of my main concern, where it also feels like if I don't decide to get it now, I'm not going to have the option to get it later. So I'm definitely feeling that element of pressure with it. I don't know. It's weird. This feels like a very superfluous purchase. Like, this is very much an extra. It's not like I'm getting access to anything that I didn't already have access to. It's just the same games, but in a different way. But at the same time, that different way is significant, right? Like, it changes the frequency of how much you play games, where you end up buying your games. So we'll see. I feel like I might break at any moment. and try to get this thing. But let me know in the YouTube comments or on social if y'all have reserved the Steam Deck. And we've had this discussion before on the show, but Netflix's gaming plans. Let's get an update on everything happening with Netflix and video games. For this, we go over to IGN, which is also pulling from some reporting from Bloomberg. The article reads, Netflix eyes video games after hiring ex-EA and Facebook executive to lead game development. Netflix confirmed to IGN that it hired former video game executive Mike Verdu to lead a new game development department at the streaming company. As reported by Bloomberg, Netflix hired Verdu to be vice president of game development. Verdu was previously in charge of bringing developers and games to the Oculus VR ecosystem at Facebook. At EA, Verdu oversaw the company's mobile game studios, which operated titles like SimCity, Plants vs. Zombies 2, and more. Neither Netflix nor Bloomberg specified the full extent of this new video game venture, whether the streaming company will develop its own games or license games from third-party developers. Neither is it clear exactly how the company plans to distribute games on its platform. If Netflix intends to release fully interactive games, will Netflix ask subscribers to download full games, or will it utilize cloud streaming technology like Google, Amazon, and Xbox? And alongside this news too, there were also leaks that came out this week about, a Ghost of Tsushima image and a DualSense image, and sort of implying that there's something going on the PlayStation side of things with Netflix as well. So while this confirmed news came out, there's also that rumor that's sort of running tandem to it. If I had to guess, I would say this is going to end up being more interactive stuff, like the Minecraft stuff they've done, like the Bandersnatch stuff they've done. Maybe they allow for controller input, but I think more than anything, being able to use a touchscreen or a remote is going to be their bread and butter, because that's what their service is based on. Oh, though, man, can you imagine like a video game rental service through Netflix? Perhaps, I guess maybe see that happening. And then Netflix would become the Netflix of gaming, which would be just the ultimate situation, I think. But those are sort of the two routes I can see them going. I don't necessarily think that you're going to be downloading full-size games and that they're not going to increase the price or anything for just downloading, just going to get all these games for free. That seems a little bit far-fetched and outside of the realm of benefiting the people involved financially. So again, my prediction for this is we're going to see interactive movies, FMV style things on Netflix more, or there'll be a video game rental service situation. And I could see them maybe having an additional tier model that's called Netflix Entertainment or something, or just something that's more all encompassing, where it's pulling in movies, TV shows, and games in addition to all those things, and have it move at a faster cadence than something like Game Pass, or have it be you have X amount of time with a game once you opt in for it. Kind of like when you rent a movie on streaming platforms, you only get it for 48 hours. I don't think it'd be anything that's that stringent for a full game release, but it could be something kind of like that, where you have such limited ownership that it's okay, most people aren't going to be completely playing all their games through this, but it sort of gives people a taste of things. And then maybe there'd be a few one-off standalone kind of pieces that sort of can satiate people who feel like they want a full experience, a full gaming experience out of that pillar of the service. But this is me just totally speculating. All this news really tells us concretely is that Netflix is interested in video games and they're making moves to make that happen. Now, what that plan actually looks like and how much of it actually sees the light of day has yet to be determined, but I'm looking forward to hearing more about what they plan to do with this. Now, let's shift gears into the fact that Hideo Kojima doesn't agree with his game being called the director's cut. This is something Kojima tweeted about on Sunday of this past week. And in case you missed it, Death Stranding is getting a director's cut. It's dropping September 24th. It includes new missions and a bunch of different new features, so it's pretty packed with new content. And this is what he had to say about the director's cut. A director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it, or because the running time had to be shortened. In the game, it is not what was cut, but what was additionally produced that was included, Director's Plus. So in my opinion, I don't like to call it Director's Cut. And this is amusing for a couple of reasons, or at least interesting. One of which being that we're seeing Director's Cut kind of become a trend within PlayStation Studios. We have Ghost of Tsushima, we have Death Stranding, and we're really just waiting for that third one to really confirm that this is going to be something we're seeing over and over again. I talked about this a lot on PS I Love You, so I encourage y'all to check out those episodes with me, Greg, and Blessing. But really, to me, the Director's Cut packaging is just a way to make it feel like we're not paying for next-gen updates when we definitely are, whether it's, piecemealed like in Ghost or integrated more like in the Death Stranding director's cut. And my beef, with the statement is that it doesn't really, fit. It's stuff that you're adding. It's essentially DLC. And I do think that's one of my beefs with director's cut as a phrase, because it is not explaining a new phenomenon. So it's a new term for games, at least, that's not really adding anything to the conversation. It's just sort of a rebrand, which feels like unnecessary in terms of how we process what we're getting within a video game. However, as a consumer, the branding is wavy. Like, it really is. It sounds more enticing than just paying for DLC. It's like, okay, no, I'm getting like this definitive edition, and we already had definitive edition before, but something about it, I don't know, it just feels like you're getting a special version of the game, which is just a little bit more appealing to me than DLC. Now, it's hard to imagine, if they had called this, Death Stranding definitive edition, DLC, whatever, I think I'd still be just as excited, because again, I missed this game the first time around, and it gives me incentive to play because it has like haptic feedback and a bunch of extra new bonuses. While with Ghost, that's a game I didn't really like very much, so there's nothing they can do that's going to make me excited to go back to the world of Ghost of Tsushima. But yes, director's cut's kind of wavy. I'm sort of falling for it. A lot of people are kind of falling for it, and that's just, a sign of good marketing. But good marketing doesn't always, make creative sense, or even if you think of stuff like, this is like kind of apples and oranges, but a lot of podcast episodes or things, even like the way I name the episodes of Gameonysus Weekly, it is based on providing the information in order to get you to hopefully click on the episode, be interested in the episode, versus naming it something silly from like a line I say, where that can be enticing too, but it might not, loop people as in, and that's why you see that differentiation in those spaces. Again, a little bit apples and oranges, but at the end of the day, I think more often than not, people will lean on, it's kind of like, where are you willing to like give, right? Like having it called director's cut instead of director's plus or definitive edition or deluxe or whatever is a small price to pay if it means, building a cohesive brand and getting more people excited about purchasing the product that is your artwork. So I'm guessing that's why, the trade-off was made. It clearly wasn't deep enough for people involved to not want to do it, but I do think it's kind of amusing for Hideo Kojima to kind of come out and be like, hey, this is like not really how I would do it, just so y'all know, like, I don't really like to think of it this way, just kind of wanted to get it out there. And I think part of that is because he's such a film buff that I think using a film term for a game in a way that isn't accurately depicting what's happening within the game maybe irks him just a little bit, just enough to want to put the thought out there, right? I think we also have to just remember that Kojima's a person like anybody else, so yeah, like, we have thoughts, and sometimes we share those thoughts on Twitter. It's an interesting insight into, his creative vision, and kind of brings in questions for the director's cut branding, but I don't think there's too much more to read into it other than that. Like, it's just sort of an interesting tidbit as this kind of new phenomenon emerges. But something that isn't new is drama at Ubisoft, as a French union files a collective lawsuit against the company. This comes over from GameIndustry.biz, and the article reads as follows. French union Solidaires Informatique today announced that it has filed a collective action lawsuit against Ubisoft alleging institutional sexual harassment. The union said it filed the suit in a French court yesterday. It first announced its intention to file suit a year ago as a wave of allegations were made against various senior Ubisoft leadership. It believes the publisher is guilty of, quote, putting in place, maintaining, and strengthening a system where sexual harassment is tolerated because it is more profitable for a company to keep harassers in place than to protect its employees. Solidaires Informatique names Chief Creative Officer Serge Escoet, Head of HR Cécile Cornet, Editorial Department Member Tommy Francois, and CEO Yves Guillermo as targets of the suit, as well as Escoet's assistant and multiple other members of the HR team. Escoet and Francois left the company after investigations into their behavior. Cornet originally stepped down from her role but remained with the publisher. Her LinkedIn profile suggests she parted ways with Ubisoft in March. Solidaires Informatique said Guillermo is named because the CEO should be held responsible for what happens at the company. Of the people named above, only Guillermo remains with the company and in the same role. The union says it still wants other people abused by Ubisoft or its employees to testify or sign on the suit. It said it would cover all legal costs of doing so and does not require people participating to be members of the union. When reached for comment, A Ubisoft representative said, "We do not have further details regarding the claim against Ubisoft," and referred us to a statement made by Guillermo in May saying that considerable progress has been made since the allegations first surfaced. And again, this is something that I've discussed on the show regularly. So if you've been tuning in week to week, you've heard a couple different stories of this. And this is just a really appreciated follow-up on that information. Because I remember when that lawsuit kind of started rumbling around, as this article mentions, a year ago, and being able to actually just get an update on that and how that's moving forward. And, hopefully employees do step forward and, take them up on being able to get that cost covered. And, hopefully there's change happening at Ubisoft, and that's not just PR talk, because this definitely is not going away. I'm hearing stories about it every week or every other week. And I hope we keep getting that coverage, because I think it's really important to put pressure on this company to do better. And speaking of doing better, Xbox has opened up a new form of parental control options. Specifically, Xbox Family Settings app adds new settings to manage children's spendings as it relates to microtransactions. In the official post, they discussed, collecting feedback and their goals since launching. And they mentioned, quote, "One of the top pieces of feedback we've received from parents about the Xbox Family Settings app is to include options to track and manage kids' spending. Feedback has ranged from, I'd like to add money to my child's account as a reward for good grades on the report card. Can I do this from the app? To, I want to give my kid an allowance to spend money on games through the app. And how do I manage how much money my son can spend while he's gaming? I don't want any surprises. We've heard your feedback, and today we're excited to announce multiple new features for the app, which will help you manage your child's spending. Set spending limits. Parents can manage their children's spending by adding money to their account directly from the app. You decide how much is approved for your child to spend. The funds you decide to add to your child's account can apply to any purchase, including games, in-game purchases like skins and apps. They then show off the features like adding money to the account and the different options that they allow for that. They have things like the option to ask to buy, where, your child can try to purchase something and you'll get a notification where you can approve or, deny their request to spend that money. Spending history is easily viewable, and the account balance can be easily viewed at any time, including the number of purchases that were made in a given week. It's just always cool to see companies continue to make improvements on this kind of thing and just provide, those tools for parents who are more involved and want to be able to, keep up to date with what their kid is doing online and how they're spending money, or, just managing all of those elements. Definitely something that I can't relate to as someone who is not a parent and who grew up before this era was even really a thing. Like digital currency and doing things that way wasn't part of the realm of possibility. Like the idea of someone using an app to electronically deliver me some cash to spend in a game or on a game, that just, none of those things were going down. But yeah, this is pretty cool. And I think just in general, app functionality with games, there's no reason that it shouldn't be the best that it possibly can be. And there's certainly things that I still want from different apps, whether it's the PlayStation app, the Xbox app, the Game Pass specific app. And it's good that they're, really seem to be listening to that feedback and adjusting accordingly. And continuing with the positive, WNBA player Candance Parker is on the cover of NBA 2K. 2K announced this in a tweet that said, the first WNBA player on the cover of NBA 2K, introducing our GameStop exclusive cover athlete, Candance Parker. And for those who don't know, Candance Parker is currently playing for the WNBA Chicago Sky. Shouts to Chicago Sky. Y'all may or may not know I'm from Chicago, and my brother actually covers the Chicago Sky. So shout out to my brother's work. You can follow him at Sky in the Shy on Twitter. But back to the story at hand. This is awesome. Just fantastic news all around. It's so important to, increase the visibility and the props toward the WNBA. So for this to be, again, making history as the first woman on the cover of 2K, that's such a big step forward in the culture, both from the sports perspective and also from the games perspective. You'll love to see it. I hope to see more of it. Shout out to Candance Parker. Congratulations on getting that cover. And part feel good, part, oh my god, that's a lot of money. A sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sold at auction for $1.6 million. This comes over from Kotaku, which mentions that this takes the cake for being the highest single video game auction in terms of the price that an item sells for. And it was auctioned off through popular auction house Heritage Auctions. And this copy of Super Mario 64 was given a 9.8 rating on the WATA scale. As a result of this high rating, Heritage Auctions says it's just one of fewer than 5 known sealed copies in such incredible condition. And here's the description of the item from the auction house itself. It said, well, we're a bit speechless on this one. What can we even say that would do this copy the justice it deserves? The cultural significance of this title and its importance to the history of video games is paramount, and the condition of this copy is just so breathtaking that we're really at a loss here. If you have had your heart set on obtaining the highest grade copy of the single best video game on the N64, the first 3D adventure of Nintendo's mascot Mario, we only have one piece of advice. This is not an opportunity to waste. And the person who bid and eventually won this did not waste this opportunity. Again, 1.5 million. It's a pretty penny for a copy of Super Mario 64. And now let's talk delays. Starting with Ubisoft delaying Rainbow Six Extraction and Riders Republic. For this, I'm pulling from Eurogamer, which says Ubisoft has delayed Rainbow Six by 4 months and Riders Republic by just under 2 months. Rainbow Six Extraction is now due out at some point in January 2022 from its previous date of September 16th, and Riders Republic is now due out in October 28th from its original September 2nd release. And there's some official statement on like, oh, we're trying to like make this the most ambitious way. You know, at this point, and it might sound like a little mean to have that kind of reaction to it, but all of those always read the same. And again, I am not going to ever tell a developer or a studio or publisher or whoever that, no, you need to put out your game, this is messed up, blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna like bang my fists on my desk over delays, but they still are frustrating, right? Like we have, especially for like someone like me where it's like I am playing out my content and thinking of what I'm playing and when I'm playing it. Yeah, delays are not enjoyable. But they can be necessary, and ultimately it is better than putting out a product that is subpar or, you know, crunching to hit a deadline that admittedly you're probably still gonna have things that you wish you could have done. Like, I don't know anyone who ends up overworking to hit a deadline and they're like, wow, that was some of my best work. Like, that story pretty much never happens. Usually it's just like, oh, if I had more time, it would be better, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, take the time they need. There's a beta for Riders Republic coming out as well. We'll see how that feedback loop goes. But yeah, you know, I'm a little bit disappointed, but just a little bit more to wait for Riders Republic. That delay isn't as bad as the Rainbow Six one. And admittedly, I'm probably not going to play Rainbow Six, so that one isn't really relevant to me, but Riders Republic I do intend to play, so I will have to wait a little bit longer on that one. And what was going to be one of PlayStation's big releases for the year is now delayed. Here's an update from Ghostwire Tokyo. We've made the decision to delay the launch of Ghostwire Tokyo to early 2022. We want to get the game in your hands as soon as possible, so you can experience the unforgettable version of a haunted Tokyo that we've been hard at work. At the same time, we're also focused on protecting the health of everyone at Tango. Our new release window will give us time to bring the world of Ghostwire to life as we've always envisioned it. Thank you for being patient as we work to bring you an experience unlike anything else we've ever made. Can't wait to show you more in the coming months. That one's not as much of a shock because it didn't even have like a hard release date. It just had a window. But for this to be in 2022, and this was like one of the, you know, I think there's been plenty of PlayStation exclusives that have, you know, hit this year. It's not like things been going on, but this is, you know, a loss for 2021, but it's also, you know, a potential win for 2022 if the game ends up being good. So, you know, that one just kind of is what it is. A bummer because it's highly anticipated, but we'll see how it is when it comes out. And lastly, let's talk game events, releases, and updates. Starting with the franchise near and dear to my heart, FIFA 22. We got details on FIFA 22 at last. The game comes out on October 1st, 2021. It's going to be available on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and PC. It is worth noting though, just like last year, the next-gen version of the game will not be coming to PC. The PC version will be like the PS4 version, the Xbox One version of the game. Oh, the game is also coming to Stadia as well. And the big talking point is hyper motion technology, which is available on that next gen version. So that means if you're playing on PS5, if you're playing on Series X/S, or if you're playing on Stadia. It has advanced 11v11 match capture, as X-Sensuits enabled motion capture from 22 professional footballers playing at high intensity for the first time. The resulting unprecedented volume of high-quality, real human movement data powers how both individuals and team move across in FIFA 2022. They boast machine learning, saying a cutting-edge proprietary machine learning algorithm learns from over 8.7 million frames of advanced match capture, then writes new animations in real time to create organic football realism across a variety of interactions on the pitch. Full team authentic motion, again, that X-Sensuit recording, captured data that powers over 400 new animations in FIFA 22 to raise the footballing intensity, responsiveness, and physicality of every player in the game. They mentioned tactical AI, saying a deeper player intelligence driven by the power of next-gen consoles gives each individual the ability to better understand both attacking and defensive formations and movement, creating a new level of tactical realism. An attack, the ability to make up to 6 times more decisions per second, gives attackers more awareness of their surrounding, allows them to make smarter runs in build-up play, and lets them react to loose balls quicker. In defense, rewritten defensive AI gives teams the ability to act as a tactical unit, retaining their shape to move across the pitch and cover vacant space. They talk about the crosses looking better, longer two-touch animations that make controlling the ball more natural and fluid than ever before, allowing you to take down aerial balls with more technique and get more agility when trapping ground balls, plus more strength in shielding situations as well. There's also more player humanization, so you'll see stuff like players talking to each other on the pitch, like opponents talking, pointing, directing each other. Which, you saw a little bit of that in the older FIFA games, of like, especially when they were trying to call out for the ball and sort of pointing forward. And the covers, once again, Mbappe, making him one of the few players to have back-to-back covers. And one big notable con is, unlike last year, you need the Ultimate Edition to get the next-gen version of the game. So if you don't have like next-gen consoles now, but you get them sometime during the year in which you have FIFA 2022, if you don't have the Ultimate Edition, you'd have to just buy the game again to get the PS5 version. It's no longer a free upgrade, which really sucks considering how hard it is to get next-gen consoles. Feels like they could have just kept doing that and just decided not to, but that is what it is. Either way, I'm excited for FIFA 22. I'm always excited for FIFA, so it doesn't really matter what they're doing. I'm interested to see whatever they're doing is. But this seems like it might actually, feel like a dynamic shift for at least what I'm looking for out of the game, because I don't really know the nuances of Ultimate Team or anything like that. That's not how I personally play FIFA. The idea of, more beautiful, more responsive, I'm here for it. And lastly, IGN exclusively announced Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. It is a Smash Bros. Style game that's coming to PS5, PS4, Series X/S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch in fall 2021. It's being developed by Ludosity and Fair Play Labs and published by Game Mill Entertainment. The article continues saying, "We don't have a full list of characters yet, but we know that the game will feature the following: Michelangelo from TMNT, Leonardo, TMNT, Nigel Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries, Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob SquarePants, Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob, Patrick Star from SpongeBob, Oblina from Real Monsters, Lucy Loud from The Loud House, Lincoln Loud from The Loud House, Helga from Hey Arnold, Reptar from Rugrats, Zim from Invader Sim, and a Danny Phantom. It will also feature 20 levels based on Nickelodeon shows, including Jellyfish Fields from SpongeBob SquarePants and Techno Jerome from TMNT, and will include single-player and multiplayer modes with local and online support for up to 4 players. And certainly this has the IP power, but it doesn't look like, it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be better than it looks, but still not enough to be good. Kind of like that Nickelodeon Kart Racers game that came out. If it just controlled a little better and had a little bit more detailing in the IP usage, it could have been kind of cool. But without that, it was just kind of like, this is just okay. Which, I think people will have fun with it just because of the brand power of it. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think this is gonna be good. I'd be a little surprised if it ended up being good, but we'll see. It comes out fall 2021, so it will be this calendar year. And add it to the list, or just maybe don't, maybe also don't. It's probably fine either way. And that just about does it for all the stories we have for this week. Thank you so much for watching over on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tap the bell. And for listening on podcast services, be sure to subscribe on the platform of your preference and leave a review if possible, because it helps the show a whole lot. And as always, a big thanks to my patrons over on Patreon. You too can join at patreon.com/Gameonysus. We have rewards as low as the $1 tier all the way up to the $25 tier. And as always, I will see y'all here next time. Bye.